Dripping head to toe, never doubt the zone. Make you eat the crow, laughing in your face, laughing to the bank.
Hello and welcome back to the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. My name is Ismael San Juan. Thank you so much for being here. Another week of the NFL football is in the books. The Bills lose a very tough match on Monday Night Football against the Broncos. Who would have thought that the Broncos, after giving up 70, would beat the Chiefs, beat the Bills, and now they're 4-5, and they're still alive a little bit. But the Bills are the big story. Are they done? Also in the Premier League, my Wolves beat Tottenham. After 2 weekends of getting absolutely robbed, my Wolves are back, climbing up the table. Chelsea versus Man City is a great instant classic, 4-4. We'll touch on that. Also, the Texans might have the MVP of the league. They might already have a top 5 quarterback in the league. CJ Stroud brings them back against the Bengals. The 49ers are back. Brock Purdy's back. McCaffrey loses his touchdown streak. They go for it at the end, which is kind of like a sign of disrespect to the Jaguars, but whatever. If you're winning 34-3, you could do whatever the fuck you want. All of that on this episode of the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. Let's get started. The Bills fall to 5-5. You know, one of the darlings from the media going into the season. Everyone loved Josh Allen, you know, the defense that they have, and Stephon Diggs. And man, to be honest, I don't know how many tables they're going to be breaking in the postseason because this schedule is hard, man. 5-5, and you got the Jets. The Jets, you know, they've been teetering. They haven't really been playing the best the last few weeks, but they're still a very tough team. Like, you could see the Jets potentially pulling up an upset. And then you got the Eagles, you got the Chiefs, you got the Cowboys, you got the Chargers, you got the Patriots, and you get the Dolphins to close out the season. So, like, the only wins that you could say, like, they are really going to win, Jets, Patriots, and possibly the Chargers, because the Chargers have Staley, and he's, like, that's a whole different story. They're probably not going to fire him till the end of the season. But realistically, that's just 2 or 3 wins that you could confidently say they're going to win. And maybe one of these tough matchups they win, that puts them at 9 victories. Like, 9-8 probably doesn't get you in the AFC. It's just that tough. But, like, what's wrong with the Bills? What's wrong with Josh Allen? Like, he keeps throwing interceptions. He just throws a lot of interceptions. Even the first one, even though it was dropped by, I want to say it was Davis, it went right through his hands. But, man, like, give your wide receivers a little bit of a break, man. Like, I know Josh Allen has the gun, he has the missile on his arm, but sometimes you can put a little touch. And I think, yeah, Davis has to get like 95% of that blame because it did hit both of his hands and he should make that catch. But my dude just unloaded a laser. But I mean, I don't know. If you give 0% fault to Josh Allen on that one, I'm okay. It's cool. He put it right between his hands. Davis should have caught it. He drops it. It slips between his fingers, and then the defender's in the back. All right, but like the interception to end the game, or to end the half, that was 3 points, and they ended up losing by 2 points. So like, instead of getting points, you're giving the ball back to Denver, and they get a last minute field goal before the half. That ends up being the difference. Like, all those things Josh Allen needs to think about. Like, he needs to sometimes you just got to be cool, man. You got to be cool. Like, it's okay to not get points at the end of the half. It's better to not get points at the half than to not get points, turn the ball over, and the other team gets more points. Like, that's the worst. That's the worst thing you could do. And Josh Allen be doing that pretty consistently. He puts his defense in a tough spot. He gives opponents a chance to get points. And especially a team that is trending upwards in the Broncos, but their offense is still nothing. Like, it's not a pretty sight. Like, yeah, they're gonna run their running back, try to get some yards. They have Russell Wilson's playing a little bit better, but even yesterday he struggled to get 200 passing yards. Like, it's not like they're just throwing it up and down the field. 24-29, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. Very tidy game by Russell Wilson. That improvisation he did for the touchdown to Sutton, that was amazing. That was an amazing throw. Like, I'll give him his props. Running around, and then finding a lob throw over one defender towards the sideline to give your wide receiver enough chance, enough room to attempt to toe drag swag. Like, that was impressive. But what I'm trying to get at is Josh Allen, you got to understand the games. Like, when they lost to the Jets in week 1, And when they lost in like another game, like losing this game, where you have hella turnovers, you just gotta understand who you're playing against. Like you're playing against the Jets without Rodgers, who got hurt in week 1, and you just gotta know that like doing the bare minimum on offense and not shooting yourself in the foot is gonna be enough. That should be enough to win the game. The only way the other team can win or have a chance is if you turn the ball over or if you give them chances, if you give them short fields, and he just doesn't get it. There's like a clip that was circulating with Tom Brady talking to Josh Allen in like a podcast. I don't know which podcast it was, but he's basically telling him like, as a quarterback, you mitigate risk. Like you're the one that mitigates risk. And yeah, it's cool to go deep and like thread the needle and find these tight windows to throw the ball into, but you know, it's also cool to just get the check down, get the yards, get the first down, and keep the drive going. It's also cool. And he kind of stunned him too. He's like, you remind me of my oldest child. He called him a child basically. And Josh Allen, he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He trusts his arm too much. He's ready to make the play every single time. He's ready to make the highlight play every single time. And it's going to cost the Bills. And it looks like it's already catching up to them. Like modern day Brett Favre, yes. But is he even going to get to Brett Favre status? Like, probably not, dude. Brett Favre was a legend. Went to a Super Bowl, won one. I don't know, man. It's looking rough for the Bills. It looks like this iteration of the Bills is done. Nick Wright was on this earlier than anyone, I want to say. But, yeah, man, like, when you got Trayvon Diggs tweeting that to get his brother out of there, it's not looking good for the Bills, man. And if I had to make a projection, if the Bills are done, to answer the question, are the Bills done? Are they cooked? I think they're cooked, dude. I think they're cooked. I think even with the positive results around them, like, I think it worked out in their favor that the Bengals lost, the Chargers lost, some other teams lost. The Raiders won to tighten up the division, but you know who if you had to bet on the Raiders or the Bills, you know, you probably bet on the Bills. So a lot of teams made it interesting in the AFC, but if the Bills would have won, they would have been in a pretty decent spot. I think they would have taken the last playoff spot, but now it's just treacherous road on the schedule, and they're not playing good. It looks like it might be GG's. It's GG's for the Bills. But changing topics, let's talk about my Wolves. My Wolves are back up the mighty Wolves. 2 controversial calls the last 2 weeks against Newcastle and against Sheffield United. You know, we don't want to harp on it, but you know, they get a penalty. Newcastle gets a iffy penalty. They apologize to us. They tell us it's a wrong call. Sheffield United, they get a penalty. The refs and whatever board apologize to the Wolves afterwards, saying it's our fault. It's our fault. And, you know, you just got to take it on the chin. Thank God we had been doing pretty good, you know. Thank God we had been doing pretty good. So we're not in relegation really anymore. So, you know, we could just take it on the chin, keep pushing. But we did have Tottenham coming into our stadium, and you know, they had some injuries, they had some red cards, and this was the opportunity for the Wolves to take some points off the league leaders. Just like 8 days ago, the Tottenham was league leaders, and 2 goals in stoppage time gets the Wolves the victory. Like amazing performance by the Wolves, up the mighty Wolves. Like they played to the end, they get their results. Very happy with the results. Sabaria and Lamina getting the goals in stoppage time. Like props to them. Props to the Wolves for just playing till the last whistle. What more can you ask for? Playing till the last whistle. They always tell you, play till the last whistle. You never know what's going to happen. Especially nowadays where the refs have emphasized to keep the ball playing, and they're going to add like a good amount of stoppage time. Like it's damn near Qatar 2022. With the time that they're adding to the games at the end of regulation, like you could get like 8, you could get like 10 minutes at the end of the game. So just keep playing, man. The game's never over. And to be down against Tottenham since like the 3rd minute and not put yourself down after 2 weekends in a row of the referees having to apologize shows a lot of character on this team. Shows a lot of heart. Shows that they trust their coach, that they believe in the system, and you know. It just shows good culture on the Wolves, to be honest. Like I'm very excited to see how this season ends, just because the last 2 weeks have been kind of rough. Not gonna lie. Like you play Newcastle that was on fire at the time. You probably should have beaten Newcastle, but they get a iffy penalty, and then you lose against Sheffield, one of the bottom teams in the league, with another iffy penalty. Like that could destroy anybody's morale. And to beat Tottenham, like that just shows how much the Wolves are believing in themselves right now and the type of team that this team's building right now. So I'm very excited. How high can they go up the table? Like, not gonna lie, if it wasn't for if we don't get those calls against us, if we beat Newcastle and we don't lose to Sheffield, we're right there, man. We're right there fighting for Europa. I think realistically, a top 10 finish is a realistic goal. And if we catch fire, like if Neto comes back and he comes back all the way back again, and he's the old Neto, like I have no problem saying that the Wolves will be challenging for Europa. Hey, Chelsea and Manchester City play an absolute classic, 4-4. What a matchup! It was amazing to watch. Just believable drama the whole game. And to end it, Cole Palmer, Man City Youth Academy, steps up to the penalty and nails the game tying goal. Like, you can't write this up. You can't write this up. Chelsea, who, by all means have been spending a lot of money and they've been underperforming like terribly. The last few weeks, they beat Tottenham 4-1. They tied Man City 4-4. And surprisingly, against the better teams, they've been doing all right. I think they tied against Arsenal and they tied against Liverpool, and now they tied against Chelsea and they beat Tottenham. So Chelsea, like, they might be turning the corner with Pochettino a little bit. Like, they're playing a little better. They got to shore up that defense. But to beat Tottenham 4-1, even with any circumstances, like, yeah, they were down to 9 players, but you still got to go and beat them. You still got to put the goals in the back of the net. And then to come back and invite Man City to Stamford Bridge and show this heart, show that you could keep up with them. It's impressive. It's impressive for Chelsea. And, as one of the people that was clowning on them when they're not doing good and like highlighting how much money they spent, highlighting all the players that they brought, clowning on Mudryk because he can't score a goal and they spent hella money on him, or, all these players that they spent hella money on and they're not doing that well. Gotta give him props. Sterling looked amazing. Not gonna lie, this is probably the best game Sterling's had in a couple years. He looked like a menace down the line. Nicholas Jackson, he did get one of the weakest hat tricks in Premier League history on Monday against 9 people, but he follows it up with a goal against Man City. Cole Palmer looks like a dog. 20 years old, he's stepping up to a penalty against his old team for the tie in stoppage time. Like, that's impressive. That's impressive. So if Chelsea could just build on this, use this as momentum, use this as inspiration to go into the second quarter or second third of the season, maybe finish strong into Box Day, going into the holidays, and then you come back in the new year and you really start making some noise. Like, this is good for Chelsea. This is good. And for Man City, like, one more can I say, like, yeah, they got the 4-4 tie. They would have wanted to been able to see the game out and win 4-3, but they're top of the table. And after all this noise, after Tottenham doing good, after Arsenal potentially being a title winner this year, Man City, after 12 games, are a 1-point lead on Liverpool and Arsenal for the Premier League top spot. And if you were to ask me who's going to win the Premier League right now, Tuesday, November 14th, I would easily say Man City go and win it again, unfortunately. As someone that likes parity, as someone that's in the US and, the NBA and the NFL do a good job of promoting parity, it looks like the Premier League, in my opinion, is going to go back to Man City. They have depth, they have Pep, class coach, and like I said, all these other teams leading. Man City didn't have the best start, but after 12 games, they're top of the table, and I don't see anyone overthrowing them when it's all said and done. CJ Stroud gets it done again, man. Again, 2 weeks in a row. First, 5 tutties, 470 yards against the Buccaneers. Like, man's looking like a 12-year vet, the way he's commanding the offense, leading them down the field, no timeouts, gets them in field goal and wins it last weekend, or gets the tutty against the Buccaneers and wins it. This week, against the Bengals, against Joe Burrow, consensus top 3 quarterback in the league. He drives them down the field for the game-winning field goal, And now the Texans surprisingly are the 7th seed. If the season ends today, they would be the last playoff spot in the AFC. After winning a combined 7 games in the last 3 years, the Texans, I believe that's the stat. Like CJ Stroud, dude might win MVP in his rookie year. That's how good he's playing. He's really him. He's really turned this franchise around. Like, you look around, and what have the Texans done? Like, really? Yeah, Tank Dell, cool wide receiver they got. CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans. It looks like he's an awesome coach. You know, he played there. He coached for the Niners. Now he's there, and the defense playing pretty good. But like, no one really stands out that crazy, man. No one really stands out that crazy. No one's like, you can't point to another facet of the team and be like, this is what's carrying them. This is like, oh, their defense is doing amazing. This is why they're doing good. Their defense plus CJ Stroud, or like, nah, these wide receivers are just insane, bro. Or like these running backs, like, nah. You can't really point to any other team, any other phase, any other group, any other part of that team to, you know, really explain their recent success and why they've been super competitive this year, other than CJ Stroud, man. That fool's a dog. CJ Stroud is a dog, and I'm here. I'm wholeheartedly here. I am wholeheartedly here for the CJ Stroud for MVP conversation. Like, let's do it. Let's do it. When's the last time a rookie won MVP? I think it's only been done once, and it was like 40, 50 years ago. It was a minute ago. Like 2,600 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 101 rating. Like, dude is a menace. He was sharing the field with Burrow, a quarterback that's been to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game the last 2 years, and he clearly looked like the better quarterback on the field. It's insane, man. It's insane how good CJ Stroud is. And I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but he is for surely having the best rookie year of all time. No offense to Luck or Herbert or Cam. Like, nah, CJ Stroud, he's definitely having the best rookie year ever. And I hope he keeps it up, man. I'm a fan of the Texans, and I hope they sneak into the playoffs. And like, no one's really taking the chokehold. No one's really taking control of the MVP race this year. Like, it might be Tua, it might be Myles Garrett, it might be somebody else, but CJ Stroud, he ends up sneaking into the playoffs or winning the AFC South because the Jaguars just lost. We'll touch on that. Then I'm here for that conversation. CJ Stroud for Rookie of the Year and MVP. Like, stop it. Like I'm saying, he looked composed, man. He didn't have as spectacular game as he did against the Buccaneers, but he drove them down the field when it mattered, got them in field goal range, got the dub against the Bengals. The Bengals, who were hot too. A lot of people were like getting back on the Bengals hype. Me being one of them, I thought they were all the way back. And a lot of people were pushing Burrow for MVP too. And like I said, CJ Stroud looked like the best quarterback on that field yesterday or on Sunday. So shout out to Stroud. Shout out to the Texans. They found their guy. Like, there's no doubt about it. They found their guy. And they're going to compete for the playoffs now, which is crazy. If I would have told you before the season that going into week 11, the Bengals would not be in the playoffs and the Texans would be the 7th seed after just beating the Bengals, you would call me nuts. You would have been like, you're insane, dude. You're insane. But that's where we're at. And to wrap it up, let's talk about the 49ers. The 49ers are all the way back. They beat the Bengals 34-3. Another shellacking of a very competitive team. Not only did they just beat the Jaguars, but they destroyed them. It kind of reminds me of the Cowboys game, where it was kind of hyped up matchup. Two teams with a great record going into this matchup. They were both 6. The 5-3 49ers going up against the 6-2 Jaguars in Duval, in Jacksonville, and the 49ers just go in there and destroy them, man. Like, just punk them from start to finish. Never looked like a match. And it's impressive, dude. Can anyone beat the 49ers when they're healthy? Probably not. There's too many weapons, too many things you got to consider with, Debo and McCaffrey, and if Purdy's slinging it, like, it's tough, man. It's tough. So, like, yeah, there's still some questions on Purdy and what he could do if the 49ers are down, or if, they need to rely on him in the fourth quarter to win a game. But if they're at full strength, if they got the squad, if they got the Avengers, then it like you might never see the 49ers trailing in the fourth quarter. That's the point that like you gotta kind of highlight. Like if the 49ers are full strength, you might never see Purdy in that situation till someone gets hurt or something. Like, and I know injuries happen all the time, and it might be inevitable that McCaffrey or someone gets dinged up here and there. But there's also a chance that they just stay healthy the rest of the way. And if they do, like a healthy 49ers team with Purdy playing good, having a good pocket, confident, it's bad. It's bad. Like, I know NFC teams, when they saw this 3-game skid that the 49ers were on, they're probably getting excited. They're like, oh, come on, dude. Like, lose another one. We want more turmoil over there in the Bay Area. We want the media to really get on them. We want them to cause some QB controversy. Like if you're flirting with the idea of starting Sam Darnold, no offense to Sam Darnold, you're not going nowhere. So I'm pretty sure the NFC teams and the NFL teams were probably rooting for the Jaguars. Like, dude, Jaguars are a good team. Let's root for them. 49ers are going to lose 4 in a row. Even with the bye week, they're not going to get it together. There's going to be turmoil. The crowd's going to turn on Purdy. Like, it's going to be tough for them to keep starting him, Mr. Irrelevant, if he has another bad game. Like, they're really going to flirt with the idea of starting Sam Darnold. I know the rest of the NFL was hoping for that, but nope. 49ers straighten it out. They're healthy now. They added pieces to their defense, and Purdy looks like he's confident, stepping into throws, some dimes to Kittle on the right side. Like, that was a beautiful throw. Like, he made some impressive throws yesterday. The Jaguars, on the other hand, looked very, 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 very flat. Trevor Lawrence, it's a discussion for another day, but man, he has not lived up to the hype of the best prospect since Andrew Luck. A can't miss prospect. Yes, the most impressive thing he did was that comeback against the Chargers in the playoffs last year, and the second half of last season. But this year he has just not looked good. Turns the ball over too much. Not really getting explosive plays from the offense, not really going up and down the field. And as a fantasy owner of Calvin Ridley, I will say that offense makes me pull my hair out. It makes me stress. It makes me, not unwell. It makes me unwell. So for the sake of my fantasy football team and for the sake of the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, you got to step it up the second half of the season. Like, you can't have more. I think he has 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles, something like that. He has more turnovers than touchdowns this year. Just can't happen. Can't happen. Especially when everyone says you're the next coming of Jesus. Like, you're like, this is the man. Like, just look at his hair. Look at the way he walks. Look at the way he carries himself. Look at the way he throws the ball. Look at the spiral on the football. Look at his mold. He's like 6'5", 6'6", slender. He could run. He has cannon arms. He's smart. He's all the way right in between the head. Like, the way people were hyping him up before the NFL. And yeah, amazing playoff performance against the Chargers last year, but we were hoping for him to build on that and have just a true breakout year this year in the regular season, and he's just not doing it. So I get it. It's the 49ers at full strength. Tough matchup. Not a lot of teams have been able to do that in the last few years at full strength, but I expected more from Lawrence. Anyways, that should do it for this episode of the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. If you made it to the end, as always, I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And this weekend coming up, the Las Vegas F1 Grand Prix is here. I don't really cover F1 like that, but everyone keep an eye on it because it's either going to be amazing or it's going to be a shit show. But that should do it for this episode. Peace.
Slide no sudden moves. On my goons are stretching. And I'm taxing for the feet. On my damn collections.